Man's best friend. We all know who that is. In fact, many of us have one of our own. A friend that doesn't judge, doesn't gossip, and is always loyal. This friend has 4 legs, a wet nose, and a tail that wags for days. I'm talking about dogs. And more specifically, I'm referring to 3 breeds. The American Staffordshire Terrier, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and the American Pit Bull Terrier. Oftentimes in the news, and other media outlets alike, we hear breaking news stories and headlines such as, "Vicious pit bull attacks harmless lady," or "Another vicious attack by a pit bull." And this leads us to believe that we have this monster among us. When you hear the term pit bull, your brain naturally enters this defensive mode. You recall all the breaking news stories and the headlines, and your body tenses up and this sense of fear rushes through your body. But how logical is that sense of fear? Or that need to tense up? How come we don't think of Petey the Pit Bull from the Little Rascals hanging out with the kids? Or Stubby the War Dog, the most decorated war dog in World War I? I know that many of you would not condone animal abuse, or abuse in general for that matter. But these breeds, which have roots in American history dating back hundreds of years, are now facing unjust prejudice in the most heinous way. I was once one of the many who felt uncomfortable with the idea of a pit bull. I require companionship in my life, specifically with dogs. And I have found a group of dogs, 3 breeds, that truly encompass the substance behind man's best friend. And through my endeavors of getting to know and understand these breeds, I feel a personal obligation to share this knowledge with those with an open mind and an eagerness to seek the truth. The pit bull, meaning the breeds that encompass the nickname, are misrepresented and now face intolerance as a result of negative human behaviors. So how did these breeds go from Petey the Pit Bull to public enemy number 1? I want to read you something, a definition about media bias. Media bias is the bias of journalists and news producers within the mass media in their selection of events and stories that are reported and how they are covered. Take that in. And I'll give you an example. August 21st, 2007, a 59-year-old woman was attacked in her home by 2 pit bulls. She was hospitalized with severe but not fatal injuries. This was reported in 230 news articles in international and national news, and was reported on major news networks such as CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. Just 2 days prior to this, a 16-month-old child was attacked and killed as a result of fatal neck and head injuries from a mixed breed dog. This was reported twice in the local news. Apparently, a 16-month-old being murdered by a mixed breed dog is not newsworthy because it doesn't have the term pit bull. It doesn't have the ratings generator, pit bull. Ridiculous. When a kid is being combative with teachers or is being bullying kids at school, we immediately look at the parents. What's going on at home? How come when these pit bulls exemplify negative behavior, we don't look at the breeders or the owners and hold them accountable for what they're obviously doing wrong? Wheela, I'm going to give you an example, a positive example of something that's never been reported. In fact, it was very difficult to find this article. Wheela was a family dog, a pit bull, out with the family at a barbecue, when all of a sudden she ran from across the yard and knocked the baby, body slammed him. He went tumbling. Turns out she had sensed that there was a rattlesnake and saved Gary's son's life. Luckily, Wheela survive. And there are 30 people, 13 horses, and a cat that are thanking Willa for being alive, because those are the lives she saved just 1 year later in a flood in Southern California. The lack of desire to seek out the truth that this general population, the laziness of our general population, is another reason why this negative stigma is following the pit bull breeds. When, American history defines Americans. And Stubby the War Dog was an example of America's strength during World War I. And now these breeds are being targeted for BSL, breed-specific legislation. And basically what that means is if a county adopts breed-specific legislation, then anyone with these breeds are either forced to surrender their dog for euthanasia, putting them down, or move from the county. And in this economy, obviously moving out of that county is probably not an option. What kind of society do we live in when people can't think for themselves? The general population's lack of desire to fight this is just as heinous as supporting dog fighting, when you really think about it. Many of us have friends that are doctors, or teachers, lawyers, and when I use the term friend, I use it very lightly in that sense. These are the kind of people that are attracted to the world of dogfighting. These people who we hold a great deal of respect for are abusing, starving animals for the sheer enjoyment and the sole purpose of entertainment. This increasing negative outlook that's being overly reported, I should say, is adding to this negative stigma, and ultimately there are two sides to every story, and the truth falls right in the center. We've talked about media bias and this negative side. Now let's take a look at pit bulls on the more positive side. Pit bulls as pets, as service dogs. And in fact, pit bulls are often used as registered therapy dogs in nursing homes and hospitals. They're giving back that same goodness and wholeheartedness that once saved their life. A perfect example of this is Chris Crawford, owner of ForPitsSake.org. She has organized a team of pit bulls, Tahoe, Cayenne, and Dakota, as a search and rescue team that work with law enforcement, who are also actively involved in therapy with disabled, battered, and abused children. These dogs are the true definition of a hero. Another great example, I love this one, Popsicle, was found as a puppy inside of a junk refrigerator outside of a known drug dealer's house. When she was recovered, she was pretty beaten up. A year later, she passed a test which only 4 out of 500 dogs will pass to become a federal drug dog. And just a year after that, she aided the federal government in recovering over 3,075 pounds of cocaine on its way to America's streets to infest our youth. We owe Popsicle a huge thank you. Me personally, I'm a proud owner of 2 pit bulls. I have an American Pit Bull Terrier and an Amstaff, an American Staffordshire Terrier. I also have a 12-year-old sister. She tugs, pulls, generally terrorizes these dogs, playfully of course, on a daily basis. They've never snapped, growled, barked, or in any way threatened her. In fact, they've only shown her love. It's truly amazing. According to the ATTS, the American Temperament Testing Society, the American Pit Bull Terrier will actually pass with an 86.8% compared to the much sought-after household pet, the Golden Retriever, which passed with an 85.2%. Just a fun fact, thought you might want to eat that one up a little bit. Since the pit bulls were bred for athleticism, all you athletes out there and outdoors people will love this. They're They're great for agility competitions, fly ball competitions, obedience trials, and weight training. They're great outdoor dogs, and it's a wonderful experience if you like being outdoors. At the beginning of this speech, I spoke of man's best friend. A friend that is honorable by all aspects of the word. A friend that is now being punished as a lack of responsibility and accountability on owners and breeders. This friend, who we refer to as our friend, and yet we treat them like the enemy. There are so many people out there that feel absolutely no remorse for the results that occur due to their selfishness. And these pit bulls are now feeling the wrath of injustice by those that they have accepted as part of their pack. And the media, with their biased misrepresentation of this breed, has bestowed fear and anger into the hearts of Americans. We're creating a society, creating a reality where Americans turn their back on their best friend. Now, I've given you the information, the truth, and an opportunity to change the future for these breeds. You have the power. So show these breeds what companionship is all about. Come here, guys. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah.